aircraft carrier was sailing in the Arabian Sea. This is the USS Abraham Lincoln. It was positioned around 800 kilometers off Iran's coast. The US military says this ship was targeted by an Iranian aircraft, a Shahid 139 suicide drone. This drone is often used for long-range surveillance. Experts say it can also carry missiles. So when this drone came close to the US aircraft carrier, the Americans decided to respond. Here's what Washington is saying. The Iranian drone continued to fly towards the ship despite de-escalatory measures taken by US forces operating in international waters. An F-35C fighter jet from Abraham Lincoln shot down the Iranian drone in self-defense and to protect the aircraft carrier and the personnel on board.
Tension in the Arabian Sea has surged after the U.S. military reportedly shot down an Iranian drone that was allegedly approaching the American aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. The incident happened in one of the world's most sensitive maritime corridors, where global trade, military power, and diplomatic negotiations often collide. But this was not an isolated moment. Just hours before the drone was downed, reports indicated that two Iranian gunboats allegedly attempted to intercept and seize an American-flagged commercial tanker moving through nearby waters. U.S. naval escorts intervened, and the tanker continued on its course. No shots were fired in that earlier encounter, but the message was unmistakable. This region is once again becoming a flashpoint, and all of this is unfolding at a delicate time, just as diplomatic efforts surrounding Iran's nuclear program are back in focus. To understand why this incident matters, you have to understand the geography. The Arabian Sea, the Strait of Hormuz, and the surrounding waterways form the artery through which a significant portion of the world's oil supply flows. Every major economy depends, directly or indirectly, on the stability of this passage. That is why the United States maintains a constant naval presence there. And it is why Iran views that presence as both a threat and a bargaining chip. The USS Abraham Lincoln is not just any ship. It is a floating symbol of American power projection, an aircraft carrier capable of launching air operations, conducting surveillance, and controlling large sections of maritime space. When such a vessel is approached by an unidentified drone, even briefly, the rules of engagement become extremely serious. Modern naval doctrine treats drones as potential surveillance tools, but also as possible weapons platforms. In an environment already charged with suspicion, seconds matter, decisions are made quickly. And this time, the decision was to neutralize the object before it came closer. From the US perspective, this was a defensive action. From Iran's perspective, it may be framed differently. And in geopolitics, perception can be as important as reality. What makes this more complicated is the timing. Diplomatic channels regarding Iran's nuclear program have been active. Talks, signals, and back-channel communications have suggested cautious movement toward dialogue. But incidents like this create pressure on both sides. Hardliners gain arguments, moderates lose space to negotiate. This is why military encounters at sea are so dangerous. They happen far from cameras, far from microphones, but their political impact can be immediate. The earlier reported attempt to intercept the tanker adds another layer. Commercial vessels flying the American flag are protected under international maritime law. Any perceived attempt to seize such a ship is taken extremely seriously in Washington. At the same time, Iran has long argued that foreign naval patrols near its waters are provocative and part of a broader strategy to contain it. This cycle of action and reaction has played out many times over the years in this region: tanker seizures, drone surveillance, naval escorts, warnings over open radio channels, close encounters that stop just short of open conflict, but each time, the risk grows, because the margin for miscalculation becomes thinner. One wrong move, one misunderstanding, one technical error, and a regional standoff can escalate into something much larger before diplomats have time to intervene. The broader context here is critical. Iran is under heavy economic pressure from sanctions. Its economy depends on oil exports, and control over maritime choke points provides leverage. Demonstrating presence in these waters signals that Iran cannot be ignored in regional security calculations. For the United States, freedom of navigation is non-negotiable. Allowing harassment of commercial vessels or surveillance of major naval assets would signal weakness and encourage further challenges. So both sides operate in this tense space where neither wants full confrontation, but neither wants to appear to retreat. This is the paradox of modern maritime geopolitics. The drone incident, if confirmed as described, fits into a pattern of testing boundaries. Drones are often used to gather intelligence, observe ship movements, and measure reaction times. Shooting one down sends a message, the line has been crossed, but messages at sea are rarely simple. They are interpreted, debated, and often amplified by domestic politics on both sides. In Washington, such an event raises immediate security concerns. In Tehran, it can be framed as aggression. The narrative that follows depends on who tells the story first and how it is presented to the public. Meanwhile, the global community watches nervously. Energy markets are sensitive to instability in this region. Shipping companies factor risk into their routes. Insurance costs for vessels can spike overnight when tensions rise. What seems like a small military encounter can ripple through the global economy in hours. This is why naval incidents near the Strait of Hormuz are never just local events. They are global signals, and the timing before renewed nuclear discussions is especially delicate. Diplomatic progress requires trust, or at least a pause in provocations. Incidents like this make that pause harder to achieve. Yet paradoxically, they can also force both sides back to the table more urgently, realizing how close they are to unwanted escalation. This is the strange rhythm of US-Iran relations. Long periods of tension punctuated by brief windows of dialogue. Military signaling intertwined with diplomatic messaging. For the crews on the ships involved, this is not theory, it is reality. Radar screens, radio warnings, split-second decisions. Professional sailors operating in an environment where mistakes can have international consequences. And for the world, it is a reminder that some of the most important geopolitical stories happen far from public view, on open waters where strategy, caution, and power meet. The question now is what happens next. Will this incident be followed by de-escalation and careful communication? Or will it trigger more aggressive posturing from either side? History suggests that both outcomes are possible. But what is certain is this: the Arabian Sea is once again a stage where global power politics are playing out in real time. And every movement there carries meaning far beyond the horizon.